And I was like, Michael, for the 9 millionth time, Mike, I'm going to have to ask you, Bubba, to take off these fraud protections that you guys have put on there. Whatever you guys got on there, it's based not in fact or around my spending habits or nothing. You guys just randomly flag shit, and then I have to call up and yell. And I'm sure y'all have 1,000 recorded conversations of me yelling at whoever is responsible for this. Just get rid of it. If there's a problem, Michael, I'll call you. So Michael was like,
okay, I mean, you know, you don't want us to be proactive. And I was like,
no, I don't. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want you to be fucking proactive. Don't be fucking proactive. You're going to get me stabbed in here. It's not like getting your card declined at the Banana Republic. You know what I'm saying, chat? It's not that where they go, oh, well, there's a little bit of an issue here. Here, have a quick seat. You know, I'm sure we'll get it worked out. It's a fucking strip club. Those girls will take your eye out. Like, pop your eyeball out of the socket and bat it around like a kitten playing with a mouse. It gets tough in there. So the waitress is standing there and she goes, okay, I'll run the card now. And I was like, thank you. Michael assures me everything's going to be fine. So she runs it. She's like, yep, it went through. And I was like, okay, good. Then I start walking back to the table and I see a whole bunch of semi-naked or naked waitresses coming out of the back. And they have a bottle in there on a tray, and it has a big green glowing shield on it. And I was like, God damn. Somebody up in here doing it right at the strip club. Somebody is in here doing it right at the strip club. Bottles of champagne, boy. That is nice. Got a champagne show going. And then I realized they're walking over to our fucking table. In the 20 minutes I was tied up with Michael, answering every question under the goddamn sun, Bud and Cruella DeVille, the first stripper that we saw in the club, ordered a bottle of Dom fucking Perignon champagne. $500 bottle of champagne. This motherfucker right here. This motherfucker right here, chat. So I sit down and Bud and this lady, Skeletor, are just laughing and having the best time ever, and Shrimp, and she's rubbing his fucking back. And the waitress comes back and she's bringing extra glasses, and she was like, oh, sorry, I thought it was just for these two. They're really hitting it off. And points at Bud and the girl from Nightmare Before Christmas, Sally, the stripper. Like, what in the fuck? You thought it was just for them? Because they're hitting it off? Is everybody taking fucking crazy pills? So she comes back with the glasses, and I was like, excuse me, ma'am. I'm sorry to be that guy, but how much is this? How much is this glowing bottle? And she was like, oh, it's one of our better ones. And I was like, yeah, I don't doubt that. I'm just asking how much this is. And she was like, oh, it's $495.95. $495.95. There better be a fucking genie in there. There better be a fucking genie in that bottle. And not one of those sassy fucking trick you with your wishes genies. I'm talking like a full-on supplicant genie. So, of course, I'm furious. I mean, as you would be, right? It's one thing if he had consulted me. It's another thing if the girl that was sitting over there was a fucking 10, and it's like, hey, maybe it's time to have champagne and shrimp. There was no consultation. So, of course you're upset, but you can't act upset. Again, strip club. Like, me taking his head off right in front of his new girlfriend and the waitress and my buddy and everything else is the wrong move. The good news was, though, the bottle service did attract at least 2 other hot girls to my buddies and my side of the table, not where Doug and our other buddy were sitting. That was roped off as like Shrek's swamp. That was the dark area from Lion King, was their area of the table. Hyenas only. So I look over at Bud and I was like, hey, Bud. He's like, hey. And I was like, didn't we just talk about this? Didn't we just talk about this? And he was like, yeah. Pretty cool, right? And I was like, what? What the hell? He was like, yeah. I figured what you were trying to tell me is that we weren't doing it up. You wanted to do it up. So I figured, you know, I'd order the bottle of champagne. I was like, that's what you got from from the conversation we just had? You got order a bottle of champagne? He was like, yeah. Why? And I was like, why? This fucking guy. This fucking guy. Anyway, and I was like, no, sir. No, sir, bud, okay? You need to dial it back is what you need to do. Where you're at right now, for what you're doing right now, we should all be hanging out with a naked Charlize Theron. Instead, we're hanging out with a naked Charlie Sheen from Young Guns after he got shot. That's what this girl looks like. You need to understand what it is that you are doing. You are a grown man. He was like, I love that movie. I was like, everybody loves that movie. Don't get sidetracked. Stop being a fucking idiot. So I told my buddy, and because, you know, my buddy's cool, he's like, yeah, we'll split it all because this slippery son of a bitch tried to throw it right on my credit card. Like I wouldn't notice. No wonder old Michael at the bank was like, what the fuck is this? Wouldn't pay $500 for a bunch of fucking grapes. So he's starting to get into a rhythm. Bud is starting to get drunk enough that he's starting to become a little bit slowed down, let's say. He's not sedentary like where he's like, falling asleep. But he's starting to lose a little bit of his, the shine of the titty bar is starting to wear off. Let's say that. Okay, so we're getting into a place where he's now not as dangerous, I feel like. So me and my buddy were like, all right, well, you know, we should go to the other stage and see if the talent is any better at this other stage. We've been there a couple hours now. I'm like, yeah, sure, man. You know, welcome home. We go over there to this other stage. Real pretty girl up there dancing. Doesn't look tired. Everything looks like it's on the way up on the mend. That this titty bar excursion is being salvaged. And that's fine, chat. Those kinds of things happen. You know what I mean? It just happens that way sometimes. Sometimes your buddy goes nuts and behaves as though he's never been at a strip club before, and that shit happens. It just does. I'm not going to let that ruin the night. Plus, like I said, it's not Bud's party. It's not his party. We're not celebrating Bud, which I think Bud may have forgotten. In fact, I'm positive that he forgot. And maybe every time Bud goes out, it is a celebration of Bud. I don't know what's going on in that head, chat, and I'm not going to even venture a guess. So I'm pumped because my buddy's home, my best friend, my good buddy, and we're starting to salvage this trip to the strip club. We're salvaging it. Bud did not succeed in knocking the train off the rail. We're good. You know what I mean? So my buddy meets this stripper, and her name is Mandy, is the stripping name. And they're chatting it up, and like, she's actually good looking, so that I support. Let's get Mandy some drinks, whatever. And then a group of 2 or 3 other strippers come up with another goddamn wampus cat right in the mix. Like, if she was a planet, they would have been orbiting her like moons. And this lady, no offense, again, not what you go to the strip club to see. Like, you could see that behind a Walmart, like, hastily cleaning herself with wipes, like by a dumpster. Again, no offense. Pretty sure she's aware. And my buddy was like, oh, they probably recognized me from the show. And I was like, that's awesome. That's awesome. He's like, hold on. They're like, really pretty girl. In the front was like, I'm sorry to bother you. Are you on TV? And he was like, yeah, I was on TV. And she was like, I think I might have seen you on TV. And I said, no shit. He just said he was on TV. So I'm thinking the chances you saw him on TV probably pretty high, considering you asked if he was on TV, and he said yes. And then the pretty girl turns around to the swamp donkey and says, there, now you know. And me and my buddy look at each other like, oh, God damn it. And the girl in the middle was like, oh my God, I thought that was you. I am the biggest Big Brother fan ever. I had to play it off. I had to, chat. Like, somebody had to jump on this goddamn grenade. So I look at the pretty ones that were with her, and I was like, oh, all of y'all are big fans of Big Brother? Dead ass. The pretty one who asked goes, nah, I ain't never seen the show. And the rest of them say the same fucking thing. One of them kind of threw me a little bit of a bone and was like, I've seen The Real World. And I was like, eh. Different show. Thanks for the enthusiasm. So then the lady goes, yeah, I love the show. I watch it every single time it's on. And I watch all the live feeds. And I was hoping I could get your autograph. So me and my buddy were just like, we just look at each other like, what the fuck? Is this like fucking Twilight Zone shit or what? So he's like, yeah, I'll give you an autograph, and like puts his John Hancock on a goddamn napkin. All of us are just kind of like, what in the hell is going on right now? And she goes, great. Could I also get one for my son? And my buddy looks at me and I look at him like, what in the fuck? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I mean, I love my buddy to death, but it's a reality TV show. He didn't win the Super Bowl. I think that's what we were both thinking, is like, what is this? What in the fuck is this right now? So he starts to make it out to the son. And she's like, yeah, his name is Bradley. So he's like, all right. You know, doing one for to Bradley. You know, like, what do you even fucking say? To Bradley. Glad you enjoyed the reality TV show, whatever. While he's signing it, dead ass, he's in the middle of signing it, she goes, my son is gay, and he just thinks you are gorgeous. And my buddy was like, oh, well, that's really nice of him to say that. And she's like, yeah, he just thinks you are the cat's pajamas. And I was like, God! Hit! And I immediately blamed Bud in my mind, chat. I was like, if this motherfucker had followed proper strip club procedure and protocol, this shit would not be happening right now. This is 100% his fault. Jinxed us. Put a fucking jinx on the whole thing with his nonsense. So he finishes the autograph to Bradley, and the mama was like, do you mind if I ask you for your phone number? I'd love to pass it to my son. And my buddy was like, as polite as he could be, he was like, ma'am, I'm into ladies. All different types, but they are ladies. That's what I'm into. Which is why I came to a naked ladies strip club and not a strip club with a bunch of dongs and wieners to hang out. No offense. And she was like, none taken. Could I have the number then? And I'll tell you this, chat. There was no fucking way that was happening. You're goddamn right it was a setup. That's exactly what she was doing. And he looks over at me with just the most desperate look in his eye, like, oh God. Because she got him. She caught him. He was caught. She deliberately did that. So he looks over at me and I was like, I gotta come in and I gotta get in here. I gotta save my friend. It's his first night back. He needs a hero right now. And I remember that I had borrowed Bud's phone to call Michael from the bank because my phone was lost and is lost. I take out Bud's phone and I was like, don't worry. I'm holding his phone for him. Give me your number. I'll text you so you know it's real. She gives me the number. I texted her right back from Bud's phone. Woo bam. Problem solved. Dodge that bullet. The second I was done, the security guy from the front of the club comes barreling up the stairs. Barreling. This dude was hauling ass. I see him come up and he's like scanning the room, and then his eyeballs lock on to me and my buddy. And he starts running over to where we're at. And I was like, oh, shit. He runs over and he goes, hey, you need to come downstairs right now. And I was like, oh, what is it? And he goes, come down there now. And I was like, oh, shit. Well, we're getting thrown out. That's what I thought. I was like, immediately, I was like, oh, well, you know, ain't the first place I've been thrown out of. Certainly ain't the nicest. Won't be the last time I'm thrown out of a bar. Big fucking deal. The night goes on all right already. You know what I mean? Like, I did not give a shit. So we're following the guy down there, and Mandy's like all over my buddy and all. We get down there, and he goes, that right there. Points over. I look over at the bar. Bud is hanging over the bar talking to this girl, this other girl, who's trying to wait the bar or whatever, wearing not only his hat, but also my hat. He's wearing both hats, one forward and one backward on his head, with his shirt all untucked. And he looks like a disheveled, homeless wino. And our other buddy, Doug, who was supposed to be watching him, looks terrified. He looks terrified. And that's when I realized I missed whatever scared him. Whatever scared Doug, I just missed it. I was watching the calmed down Bud, not the scare the ever-loving shit out of Doug Bud. This was the controlled Bud. So we walk up to Doug, and the bouncer was like, I have given y'all as much leeway as I can because y'all bought a bottle. And I was like, oh, I really just kind of wish you would have just kicked Bud's ass. Anyway, he's like, yeah, y'all bought a bottle, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But this guy is out of control. So again, chat, it was obvious that something horrible had happened before that. But I didn't want, I tried to play it off. Like, try to play a little bit dumb. And I was like, what? So his shirt's a little bit untucked. No big deal. No big deal. And the bouncer was like, no, it's not about that. No one even said anything about that. And I was like, oh, what seems to be the problem? And he was like, well, there's a lot of problems. Number 1 and 2, he's wearing not 1, but 2 ball caps. And he was told not to be wearing ball caps. And I was like, all right. Okay. Yep, I do see the ball caps now. I see those. And he goes, and I know he knows that he's not supposed to be wearing them because I keep telling him to take them off. He takes it off, and then as soon as I turn around and go back to the door, he puts them back on again. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just take the hats from him. Problem solved. And he goes, no. Problem is not solved. Problem is not solved. There's more. And I was like, all right. He was like, when Anastasia started her dance, he changed the song that she was dancing to. And I was like, what? And he goes, he hacked the jukebox. I was like, sir, I'm not calling you a liar. But it seems very remote, the chances that that guy right there, and pointed at Bud, I was like, that guy hacked anything and changed anything. I'm going to have to side with Bud on this, that it was not him. And he goes, the bouncer was like, it was him. I know it was him. And I said, how the fuck could you even know that it was him? And he said, well, when he did it, he ran up to the stage and threw about 30 ones at Anastasia and screamed the lyrics to the song right before it came on. So I know it was him. And I said, sir, because he knows this, like maybe the first few notes of the song, that doesn't mean that he turned it on. And he goes, we have a automated DJ system. It's like a little jukebox thing that the girls use. And he hacked into it with an app on his phone. And I was like, sir, I have his phone. And he was like, you have his phone? I was like, yes, I have his phone. So I could tell that, like, I was starting to maybe convince the security guy that it wasn't Bud. And he goes, well, even if it wasn't him for the song, he ran up and threw the money at her, and then he started like pulling up his shirt like he was going to take off his clothes, and we had to grab him and bring him over here, and now he's over here acting like this. That's why he looks that way. So I was like, okay. So Bud looks over at that moment and sees us looking at him. He looks right at me and he goes, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. And I was like, hey, man. He goes, you want to see something? I was like, yeah. He pulls out Doug's phone that he had taken, hits a button, and yells at the top of his lung, I want to fuck you like an animal, before that song starts playing on the jukebox. It was him. He did it. It was him. It was him. He did it. The bouncer was right all along. It was him all along.